Hi everyone, and welcome back to another No game video. Today's video is dedicated to Counterside, an anticipated gacha similar to Arknights, but has epic 7 levels of animation. Let's go ahead and start the login right here. Hit confirm. We're going to be logging in as a guest. This is an absolutely beautiful game. Can you play this game right now? Yes, you can play. You can play as a guest, as you saw earlier. This is going to be the login screen. If you're wondering, how do you play this game? Is it accessible for the USA region? Yes, it is. You can play it now if you download it on Q app. I'll leave links in the description. You can play on BlueStacks LD Player. I'll leave links to BlueStacks as always. And just note that this is actually playable right now in KR as well. It might be in Nexon, but most of the time they are publishing the game. And Zlong Games is actually known for pretty much creating the Langrisser IP, which is super huge because Langrisser is actually very successful over in the USA region, right? Let's go ahead and get started with this actual gameplay of Counterside. Now, the reason why I'm so excited to cover this game is because it's been long anticipated for its release, and it's one of the gachas that's like, wow, this is really one of the games that might change, like, or add something new to the scene. And I have to say, it doesn't really add anything new. If anything, it only makes current systems or current game modes even more relevant and even more entertaining. Look at this art style. Look at like this UI. It's very clean, very precise, and I like how everything is pretty much flowing. Now note here, watch what happens. This is very similar in the sense of why people are comparing it to Arknights, because when I drop the unit and when you deploy the unit, you can't really control them. You have like a set amount of energy, and then you can also deploy a range unit. But look at how beautiful this game seriously looks. It shows like the win-loss and all the different screens. This is pretty much a tutorial phase and my first impressions, right? So this is what's going to happen as soon as you log into the game and you pretty much download it. But these animation, like the quality of the game, you can definitely tell there was a lot of love, there was a lot of effort put into actually developing this game, right? Because a lot of the times when you play a gacha, it seems sort of generic. Like there's even animations on the cutscenes when they're just standing there. This is similar to like epic 7 levels of at least like animation between cutscenes, right? Because the characters move, they're talking, they have some sort of interaction, but the sort of world reminds me of something similar to Arknights, not exactly, right? Because it seems sort of post-apocalyptic where they're fighting like some sort of group that is otherworldly, and you know, they have to pretty much go through the motions. But the gameplay though seems to me like any other tower defense or any energy based system where you have to, you know, wait a certain amount of time until you can drop certain units and everything. But the animation is really what's going to hook you, I feel, because a lot of the times people say they don't want to play, you know, based off of art style looks too chibi. Like this one, to me, it's not chibi. To me, it is more realistic and it looks much better, much cleaner. Look at this ultimate skill right here. Like you can't tell, he just dropped a building on the enemy team, and it's one of those things, those small details that really makes a gacha stand out from others, right? Because most of the time they seem too generic with, you know, the ults, the animations, the cutscenes don't feel alive. Like this game, like the overall presentation, it feels alive. It feels like they want you to keep playing the game. They want you to have a very immersed experience when you're fighting these enemies, right? It looks so like colorful. Like granted, like the whole color palette is sort of dark, but at the same time, like look at this. Look, you can drop like skills right here, like the ship will shoot a laser. That looks amazing. It looks clean, and it's one of the few things that gachas just don't get right nowadays. Like a generic gacha that just pumps like games. This one does not seem generic. That's like my argument here. It is, you know, generic in gameplay wise, but it looks so different. It looks like it's part of the unit engine. And look at when you drop like this one unit, it drops like a little like battalion or squad of people. Battalion's the wrong word, it's definitely like a squad. And look how like the enemies are like, all right, these are like new people that popped up on this side, they're attacking the ship. You can actually deploy me back over here. The reason why these small things are so important, and I can cast my ult because, you know, the little purple skill is appearing right there. Look at this, man. Like, it's just hard to find a gacha with this level of detail nowadays, okay? And I know that sounds very cliche, but it's the truth. There's no gachas that put that much care into animations 2D wise, right? We're sort of flowing into like the 3D scene, but seeing stuff like this where it pays homage to sort of Epic 7 levels of animation, I just like it. I like the live 2D like this, and the reason why live 2D animations between like pretty much enemy battles and gameplay is so important to me is because it's those little things that tells me the developer actually cares about the game. Now, I know a lot of you are worried about the fact that it was, published by or developed by Nexon in KR. The thing is if it actually gets created or pretty much published or developed or whatever terminology that we want to place for Counterside, if it gets published or developed by Zlong Games in Southeast Asia, then there is a great hope that this is actually going to be published or developed by Zlong Games when it comes to pretty much global, right? People like it when it's not Nexon affiliated, because we all know what happens when something is Nexon affiliated. It pretty much gets dragged through the mud, the game becomes pay to win, and the monetization is absolutely terrible. This is a known thing between Nexon. So if Zlong Games manages to acquire like the assets for it, and they did a great job, with Langrisser. Langrisser also has a PC client. I will say it is very grindy, but the gameplay and the community for Langrisser is definitely there. Like, people want to play that game, which is the reason why I want to, sort of cover Counterside, because there's no such thing as all hope being lost just because it was published or developed by Nexon over in KR. This game is too beautiful. It has way too much potential on its side to be something very different from the market, because a gacha should never just be judged by animations and like the way its gameplay flows. It should also be judged by how you can build characters, how you can sort of set things up in order to make the gameplay more fun, in the sense of like, hey, we want to make these characters who are doing all these ults, all these like twin blades, dual blading, all these things. We want to min-max, because at the end of the day, when you play a gacha, you're not just playing for the gameplay. You're playing to build characters. You're trying to make them as best as they possibly can be. You want your waifus to be amazing, and waifu over meta every single day, right? This game to me feels like you can use like 1-star units similar to Arknights in order to tackle maps. You don't just get like the 3 stars, the highest like SSRs, and this is going to be a rank. And I really want to cover more about like the actual polish, the detail, the potential for this game. And I'm not saying this is revolutionary and gameplay wise. You can see it's fairly generic, right? What I'm trying to say is that I want to give Counterside a chance, even though it's published by Nexon in KR, because it can be published or developed by Zlong Games, who created Langrisser, which is just absolutely amazing. And this is very similar to Epic 7, where pretty much there is a 30, reroll sort of thing here. You're guaranteed an SSR right here based off to the selective recruitment. I'm not sure if they'll keep this, whenever it goes live, because this is closed beta testing and everything. But look at this animation for summoning. Just this alone by itself is nice. Sometimes gachas, they just throw the heroes out there and it's like sort of generic. But look at this. This looks amazing. There's animations on the summons, like just the little things where they're making individual, like that one launched missiles. Like, you gotta love this. Like, there's personality. It feels like the game is alive. I am so like unhappy when I do summons on a game and like the characters, the PNGs, they're not moving, they're not doing anything. It doesn't feel like I want to like them, right? But here, it definitely feels like it's alive. Like, these drones, they feel like they can do something. They have some sort of personality. It's not too generic, right? Like, this sniper feels alive. Like, yeah, it has some generic text, but look at this. This is the commander of the administration counter squad. It's those little details, right? It's those little things that really make it feel like the gacha is different from everything else. Because we've played a bunch of gachas. We've done this time and time again. Oh, this is a supporter. We know what it feels like to pretty much play a gacha and get screwed over on expectations. I'm not saying this is going to like live up to any expectations. What I'm trying to say here is that this is something that I like to see when a gacha game gets pretty much created or published. And I like Elizabeth Pendragon. I just like her, so I'm going to go ahead and keep this one. I just want to see levels of polish on gachas when we play them, right? I don't want to feel like I'm playing something generic. That's the whole point with my whole like sort of introduction to Counterside. I want more gachas that look like this. I want more things that feel polished. I want more love in the game, right? Let's go ahead and pull down the hatch, see what we get here. And you pretty much get Nina Anderson. She looks absolutely amazing for a 1-star waifu. I want to make her definitely one of the better characters. And you can see here that there's like the one-time recruitment, but then you can see here this is sort of a multi that you get every single day. This is part of like the closed beta testing, and I just like watching the summon animations. You know, it's those little things in gachas that make it fun to play, and it's just something that developers sometimes have a hard time getting, like, you know, their head around, because it's not always just about the UI. It's like the whole package where the characters feel alive. You feel like you want to raise them. You feel like this game is going to just sort of set different expectations. And whether you play this for, you know, a month, a year, however long that you want to try this out, I just want more gachas that look like this. That's the point of this, right? I want gachas to have this high level of polish, and it feels like it's going into the next generation of gachas, because that's the point. We want to get better. We don't want to like digress and like sort of play games that look too generic and just feel uninspired. This game feels different, right? Like, it just feels nice to play because the UI, the animations, the characters, the details, the little things feel like it's alive. And a lot of gachas just don't feel alive to me nowadays. All right, let's go ahead and continue with this gameplay. We're gonna run one more mission so we can get, you know, pretty much more of like how this game pretty much flows. You sort of like jump in like Blue Archive style, where your squad is like in that airship, and then you go like fight different enemies between different maps in order to get like the most out of everything. So we're gonna go ahead and skip the dialogue right here. We're gonna do our landing point, and what's gonna happen is we can actually set all of the different units that we just got. Now you can pretty much be like, all right, I want like this formation, or you can just do auto form, where it'll set like the best sort of units for the situation. We're gonna deselect all of them, and then we're gonna auto form again. All right, and what, that is weird. All right, I don't like that. So we're gonna take out her. And all right, can we, yeah, we're gonna replace her, and then we're gonna change the order right here, because this pretty much shows you like how like the characters are going to be appearing, you know, within the actual levels. And then we're gonna go ahead and hit back, and now we're pretty much gonna hit add right here, and we're gonna start the operation. I'm guessing like that's the stamina currency right there, and this is how the game is actually going to look like, right? This is the gameplay where you move around like between the tiles, and eventually you have a player phase. I'm sure like in other areas we will, you know, pretty much have like the enemies moving towards us. This reminds me of a lot of like Azure Lane, where you're moving tile to tile, but of course the gameplay is different. You know, it's just like little things where this game differentiates itself between animations, you know, live sort of ish models, and then you have like, you know, this gameplay where it's sort of tower defense, but in some ways not really. But you can see here how like the order is based off of where I place my units, and then she's sort of like a ranged character, you know, Pendadragon right here, Elizabeth, and I just like her because it feels like, you know, she's a DPS related character. And we're gonna go ahead and place her because she has like a shield, so I'm assuming like she's like some sort of tank. And then we'll place like a DPS right here. Like, look at this, man. Like, how can you say like this game is not going to like turn out well? How can you say that you don't have high expectations? I know the rates isn't the greatest for this game, but you just want to root for it. You just want it to be good, because this has way too much potential to fail. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the gameplay for Counterside. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I like where this is sort of going for the gacha direction, and I hope more games come out similar to Counterside levels of polish, production, animation, and quality. If you enjoyed today's video, consider subscribing, dropping a like, leaving a comment, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter. Once we hit 17,500 subs, we'll be doing a giveaway. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.